Have you guys ever been on a sales call where you felt like everything was going well, the call kicked off well, the person was very open, honest, they're letting you know exactly what it is they need, and it aligns perfectly with the service you're providing. You had a great pitch, you laid the whole thing out for them, they seemed excited, they seemed like, hey, this makes sense. This is something I should move forward with. You're asking them questions. They're answering everything exactly the way it should go, or at least the way you want it to go. You get to the price drop. You give them the price. And even that, they're like, yeah, okay, makes sense. Let's do it. Then they hit you with this.
Yeah, I get paid next week, so I'll let's just reconnect and I'll pay then. I'll join then.
They say everything's perfect. They say everything's great. They say they're absolutely moving forward, but they delay by saying that they're going to have the money at some later date. And because of how well the call went this whole time, you're not really fazed by it, right? You're a little bit disappointed that you're not collecting cash now, but they seem genuine. They seem like they actually are going to move forward. And so you schedule a call for that later date and you try to reconnect then to collect payment. And that's where they ghost. They disappear, never to be heard of again. And this is one thing I was asked about when I was doing a coaching call for a sales team. They asked, hey, what do I do when the prospect wants to defer payment a few days or to next week? Let's say they're getting a paycheck or they're closing a deal, money's coming into their account and they got to wait before they can move forward. And I've run into this situation many, many times, and I've found that most of the time when you just say, yeah, sure, let's reconnect, something happens, something comes up, whether they talk to a friend or they get buyer's remorse, they change their mind, something happens to where they no longer want to move forward anymore. Not every single time. There are a good chunk of people that do come back and do move forward like they said they would, but sometimes you do have those people that fall through the cracks, never to be heard of again. And this could happen for a bunch of reasons. Maybe they're just saying that to get you off the phone and they didn't actually ever intend to move forward. Or maybe they did intend to move forward, but when they got off the call, something came up in their life that caused them to no longer want to move forward with this anymore. They put something else in the priority seat. And the tactic I'm about to share, I've used over and over and over again to overcome this, and it works so well. Once I did this, I added at least 20% more closes to my monthly sales. And what I did was I got card on file. The way this works is first things first. You always want to make sure, and goes for any objection, anything that comes up before collecting cash, you always want to make sure that they are completely sold on the service. Because if you guys don't come into agreement, if they're not in a position where they know that the service is exactly what they need to achieve the results they're looking to achieve, there's literally no point in talking about anything else. There's no point in talking about pricing. There's no point in talking about anything else that comes up if they're not in agreement that, hey, this is exactly what I need to get to the end result. So when they bring up that, I guess, objection or they try to defer the payment, I'm always going to ask first and foremost, hey, having the cash right now aside, do you believe that this is exactly what you need to get to XYZ result? They say yes. Then after that, I'll double tie it down. I'll ask again and I'll say, okay, so really what it's coming down to is, you want to do this. We got to do this. You just have to wait for that cash to come in next week and then we can get rocking and rolling. Is that the case? They should say yes again. Now, what I'm listening for when I'm asking these questions is not just for the yes. I'm listening for the yes with some excitement, the yes with their tonality. If they give me like a, yeah, I guess, or if they give me like a, yeah, sure, I'm going to call them out on that right away. I'm going to say, hey, you don't sound totally sure what's going on. You want to call it out because if it's not a totally sure yes, there's something else there. There's something where they don't believe in the service that is being sold to them, and nothing else matters if that's the case. So after I get that yes, let's say everything was perfect there, then I'm going to set it up in a way where I can get card on file so it can be automatically billed for the day that they are ready to move forward, for the day that cash is supposed to come in. What I want to do is I want to get a higher level of commitment out of them. A lot of people find it harder to back out of things that they've already committed to. So I want to give a sense of commitment, even if they're not doing it with their dollars. I want to find some way to make them committed to the decision of moving forward and getting the results they've wanted for however long they've been struggling with this problem for. So I do that by first, again, getting them to agree that the service is it. It's exactly what they need. It's the perfect service that they're going for. Then I try to frame moving forward now with putting a card on file in their benefit to save them time and to save and skip some of the back and forth, right? So the way I'll frame it is I'll say something like, Okay, cool. Well, in that case, what most people do, and I always try to say whenever I'm trying to pitch a suggestion how to overcome an obstacle when I'm handling objections, I never want to say what you should do. I never want to say what you need to do. I always want to say what most people do because people find it way more comfortable to do what everyone else is doing. So I always want to say, hey, well, what most people do. And on top of that, if they reject the suggestion, it's not them rejecting me telling them to do something. It doesn't turn into this combative kind of thing. It's more so them just rejecting what most people do. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, cool. And then we can just move on without it being this awkward moment where it's like, I said to do this and you just said no and rejected that. So I'll say something like, hey, awesome. Well, in that case, what most people do in this scenario is we don't want to do like the whole back and forth thing and schedule a whole nother call to get on because obviously we want to get you moving forward as quickly as possible towards result that you're looking for. So what most people do is let's just save that next time slot that you're available for the onboarding call. And we can put a card down on file. So all you have to do, instead of us getting on another call and trying to chase each other down, all you have to do is shoot me a text with a thumbs up and we can process it for as soon as that cash hits the account. And that way you'll already have your onboarding call scheduled for next week. And, insert like a day or two after they said they'd have the money. You'd already have your onboarding call ready to go for then, and you could just hit the ground running instead of trying to get on another call next week and then from there trying to book another onboarding call even further out, further delaying you solving problems. That way we could just hit the ground running. What are your thoughts on that? From there, I'll usually have like a $1 checkout link ready to go because then, obviously I want to make sure the card they're giving me is a real card. You process the $1 and then you either schedule the next payment for when they know the money's going to hit. Maybe I usually put it like a day after or something like that. Or you just have the card on file and, you just wait for them to text you or whatever. And usually they'll text you and say, yeah, go ahead, bill it. And then you'll just process it from your end because it's already on file in the account. For me personally, that has gotten me a lot more deals. I've closed so many more deals because of this strategy. So if you're struggling with people deferring and pushing off their payment and pushing off their timelines to get started, they're admitting that this is what they need and they want to do it, and they're just saying that they got to wait for a paycheck or something like that, give that a try. I've done this across multiple different offers, dating, B2B, fitness. I've done this across so many different niches and it's never let me down. It's always resulted in me getting more sales and the customers were great customers. Obviously not 100% of the time, but it worked out. It got me more deals. If you're struggling with this, try it out.